Hey gang, Michelle McPherson here, and this is the Crowd Mountain Bootcamp Q&A session for Bootcamp session module number 1. Let me get my recording stuff started here, and then we'll get going. All right, Bootcamp Module 1 covered keyword research, and we're trying to find niches that are niches where people actually buy things and niches where people have, where there's a certain number of searches a day and a certain number of competition that we don't want to exceed to ensure that we're actually working in a market that we can get some rank in. So let's start with the questions. I'm just going to go through them, and this is being recorded for anybody who can't make the call or can't listen all the way through. Our first question is from Rochelle, and she says, you state that you use 5 as the criteria for PBR, yet in the video you reject a lot of keywords because the PBR is too low, like being in the 20s or 30s. Why do I use 5 and not a higher number like 40 for filtering? And this is in Market Samurai. The reason that I use 5 as the criteria for the PBR is because sometimes I want to see keywords that have a lower PBR because they'll be like a reversed. I think one of the examples in the juice cleanse was that I had the keyword juice cleanse, and that had a higher PBR, and then the other keyword that had the lower PBR was cleanse juice. So that's just the reverse of the main keyword. So when I look at those two together and the PBR that they both have, I can get a better idea of how many searches per day that particular key phrase gets. Because Google will sometimes return search results that are in the reverse order because they know what you're looking for. So if you enter in cleanse juice, you'll probably end up getting juice cleanse results as well. So looking at things with a lower PBR, I don't necessarily want to target a lower PBR key phrase, but it gives me more information about those key phrases and their related key phrases as a whole. The next question is from Jim. He says, just wondering, do you ever consider this search results using the operator in title and then putting your keyword phrase in quotes in choosing my keywords? Or is this, in your opinion, not worth the bother? No, that's what we're doing with Market Samurai's SEO title competition. They don't use your keyword in quotes in SEO title competition. They actually use it just in title, colon, and then the keyword phrase. But it's going to give you an idea of exactly how many websites out there use your keywords in their title. And that's one of the criteria that we're looking for when we're doing our competition analysis. So, yeah, you can look at it in quotes as well on your own in Google if you want, but the information that Market Samurai gives you with the SEO title competition is close enough. And usually you'll find the titles competition is fairly low in your 2, 3, 4-word key phrases, so you don't have to worry about it so much in quotes as well. Brad asks, what do I do when my domain name becomes too long and shortening it will drop a keyword? Should I keep the longer domain name or should I go for the shortened version? Like in the sausage-making niche, that's an old 30-day challenge joke. My target keyword is sausage-making ideas, but the .com address is taken. Should I go for something like sausage-making ideas blog, or should I go for sausage-making secrets but not have the full targeted keyword in the domain? In this case, I would use the sausage-making-ideas-blog.com because that's the main keyword that you're targeting. If your keyword phrase gets to be really, 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 really long, like 5, 6 words, then it might be going too far. But in that case, it isn't very often that such a long keyword phrase actually has the kind of traffic that we're looking for. So usually this isn't something that you'll encounter. He's saying also that the targeted keywords in the URL are important because of SEO-friendly URLs, but at what point does it become too long? 2, 3 words is fine. Even 4 words can be okay, but beyond that, you're probably not even going to get the kind of traffic that you want, so it's kind of irrelevant. Carol asks, I'm not familiar with this terminology. Please explain what these values from Market Samurai mean. SEO value, AdWords value, and OCI. Those are actually just different calculations that they're making to determine how much money you would make for SEO value. It's determining how much money you would potentially make if you were ranked number 1 for that key phrase and you got the SEO traffic from Google that Market Samurai anticipates that you would get. And this is based on the AdWords data and the sales data for a particular keyword. The trends is a part of it as well. If something is really low in the Google Trends column, you're not going to see high SEO value. So if you want to know the exact calculations that they're using, AdWords value is the same thing. It's if you were at a top AdWords spot and you got all the AdWords traffic, then how much money would you potentially make from that niche based on being number one and getting all that AdWords traffic if you're running AdWords ads. If you want to know the exact calculation that they're using, then Market Samurai actually has a lot of technical support materials that will explain that to you. I don't remember the algorithms off the top of my head, but they're giving you an idea of how much money you would make if you were number one in Google for the SEO value and if you were number one in Google in the AdWords section for the AdWords value. And, of course, in those, since we're talking about money made, the higher the better. Rochelle asks, how do you recommend we do keyword research for sites that we've already created where perhaps we didn't do keyword research at the time of their creation? This is going to be a matter of just taking a look at the niche that you're in, running some keywords that are related to your niche, and finding ones that are close enough to your site already. So you've got a site up already about, I've got a baby monitor in front of me. You've got a site about baby monitors. And you perhaps didn't do your keyword research beforehand. You're going to want to run baby monitors. You're going to want to run brand names in there. Brand names are good sometimes for not having super high competition. And, just look for something that is related to what you're already doing your site about, and then once you find something, you optimize your site for it, as far as we talk about in Module 2, which several of you already have access to. You can find that perhaps your main keyword phrase was entirely something that doesn't fit the criteria that we're looking for, and in that case, you'll have to go for perhaps a longer tail keyword phrase or something that is close to your niche but not quite. And when that happens, which it does sometimes, it's going to be a matter of, are you going to delete your site or are you just going to change it to fit the keyword phrase that you're now working on and, build your content based upon this new keyword phrase. And, if your site's not getting any traffic at all, then it doesn't matter what you do, really. Just start over with your new keyword phrase. And if you delete the old stuff, fine. And if you don't, then don't. It really doesn't matter because you're not losing anything. But if your site's already getting some traffic that you really don't want to lose, then obviously you're going to have to be a little bit more careful about what you do in changing your keyword phrases that your site's targeting. And, you're going to have to balance that out. It depends on how much traffic you're getting currently. But again, if it isn't that much, then it really doesn't matter, and just shoot for a new keyword phrase that fits the criteria that we're looking for. Rochelle also asked, there are times when we won't want to include keywords in a URL, like brand names, like eBay or Nike, or we'll get into legal hot water. How do we know if it's safe to include brand name keywords in a URL? To be entirely honest, I look at the litigation history of a particular brand. So I know that eBay or that MySpace or that Nike tends to go after people who use their brand name and sue them or take their domain names away. And in that case, I won't buy a brand name or a domain name with that brand name in it. If I look at a site and it's one, or if I look at a brand and it's one that doesn't seem particularly litigious, then sometimes I'll give it a shot and see if it works. Most of the time, if you're saying positive things about a brand and they aren't a litigious brand, then you won't have a problem. But, it's a judgment call. And for that reason, I don't necessarily always build sites that are based entirely on a particular brand because there isn't much information product that you can sell about, say, Nike. People are trying to buy shoes, and that's kind of a different model than what we're looking at here. Now, if you wanted to build a site about running shoes and you mentioned Nike in it, that's a whole other thing. And you could even sell a guide on the best running shoes for cross-country or how to make your running shoes last longer, how to get the most out of a cross-country run, and you talk about cross-country running shoes on your blog and draw in some traffic that way, that kind of thing. So brand names may not necessarily be where you want to be looking anyway. A review site, say on, like we were talking about earlier, baby monitors is one thing, and of course you're going to mention the brand names of the different baby monitors out there, but I wouldn't necessarily build a site Like I've got mine is an even flow Whisper Connect Tria that's in front of me. I wouldn't necessarily build a site just for that particular product and use the product name and the brand name in it anyway, because you're getting in general, the traffic that you can get is a lot less. Now, would I put a page up on my site that is, my site, babymonitorreviews.com, and then a page /Evenflow Whisper Connect Tria Baby Monitor Review? Absolutely. But within the brand name, within the domain name, I would look more general for the most part. But if you're really in a niche that you think is awesome and that you want to go for, look at the litigation history of the site or of the brand name. And again, I am not a lawyer, and this is not legal advice, but that's what I do. Okay, Mike asks, in the 30-day challenge, they recommend, if I remember correctly, an SEO competition of 30,000. You are saying 100,000. Why do you recommend a higher number? Well, for two reasons. Number one, we're going to be doing some more advanced stuff than they do in the 30-day challenge, so it's entirely possible to rank for keyword phrases that have a higher competition. The second reason is because we're also looking at the SEO title competition value, which wasn't a part of Market Samurai when the 30-day challenge came around, and that can give us a lot better look at keywords that you can optimize your site for and rank for, because we're not just looking at is the word on the page. We're looking at pages that are specifically optimized for a particular key phrase. And if there aren't that many pages that are actually optimized via the title for a particular key phrase, then it's going to be easier to rank for. So two reasons. Number one, we're going to be doing some more advanced stuff than the 30-day challenge. And number two, we have more thorough criteria that we're looking at our domain names or our markets with. And Harry says, why bother and build a new site when I can build my money site on an authority site like WordPress.com or Squidoo or Hub Pages and benefit from their high PR that will help my position in Google search? I can link together several sites like these for backlinks and get even higher ranking. The problem with that is that you don't own your content. So anyone at WordPress.com or Squidoo or Hub Pages can decide that they don't like what you're doing and they can delete your page. The other problem is that you're not building a brand for yourself. That's not a business owning, several Hub Pages. That's just owning a couple Hub Pages and hoping to get some affiliate click-throughs. Now, using that as an augment to your main site, absolutely, and that's what we're going to be talking about later on when we do our link building and our networking modules. So, I'm not saying no, don't use those kind of sites, but that's not your money site, that isn't your main site, and that's not what you're building your brand upon by any means, because you don't own it and you don't have control over it. Vito says, with the Idea Factory qualifying worksheet, it appears to be our subjective view of the niche topics. Speculation is fine, and I understand that keyword research will qualify the size of the competition for the niche. However, I want to ask if my impression that this is our gut feel as opposed to some research facts is correct. Yeah, the qualifying worksheet isn't about numbers at that point. You're looking at a bunch of different niches. You're looking at, your top 10 that you are considering as being possibilities, and you're deciding, this one looks good, this one's got money in it, or this one has really enthusiastic people about it. If you want to run a quick Google search and look at the ads, are there AdWords ads? Yes, then there's money in it. Look at the, do your keyword and then put in forum. Is there a forum about it? Are people passionate about this topic? That kind of thing. So, yeah, you can do some cursory research if it's a niche that you're entirely unfamiliar with and you don't know if there's money in it and you don't know if people are passionate about it. But this is, in the end, it's your gut feel. Are kids who are into, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, do they have credit cards? No. So that might be an issue. But then again, their parents might buy it for them. So you've got to just kind of take a gut feel and look at your niche and figure out, is there money? Are they passionate? Do they group together? That kind of thing. Sam says, Michelle, the course absolutely rocks. Really like the hands-on videos. Can you explain more about why SEO title competition is so important? That's his first question. Yes, SEO title competition is important because, like I was saying a couple minutes ago, it gives you a look at not only how many pages have your keyword phrase on them, which is what SEO competition gives you, but SEO title competition gives you a view of how many pages out there are actually optimized for your keyword phrase. Because they've put your keyword phrase in the title, That's indicative that the webmaster there has done some optimization for your keyword phrase and is actively trying to rank for it. So SEO title competition gives us a very, very, very good look at what keyword phrases are highly optimized by other webmasters and what key phrases have some room in them for us to get into based on the fact that their SEO title competition is lower. And then he also asks, in Market Samurai, what is the difference with the new SEO title competition ratio and how would you use it? This is the ratio of sites that are using the keyword in their title versus, I believe, the number of sites that don't have the keyword in their title but have the keyword on their page somewhere. So a lower number is better. Super duper low is awesome. And that's it. It's just a ratio between keywords in the title versus keywords not in the title, and lower is better. Next question, also from Sam, is how would you take on a higher SEO competition or SEO title competition, maybe for a later module? How would you take on a keyword that has SEO competition much higher than 100K? For example, for small biz where you can't choose the niche. That last bit confuses me a little bit because you can always choose your niche. I mean, if you're in the small business arena, you can still choose who you want to market to, who you want to target to, and look for other keywords or longer tail keywords. But how would I take on a higher SEO competition or SEO title competition? I would resign myself to the fact that it's going to take me longer and that it's going to take more link building in the end to rank for that keyword phrase. That's all. Bob says, I have an e-commerce site selling physical products. Will I be able to use your methods to promote this site? Yep. And we talk about that in Module 2, what to do if you already have a site up, and I used e-commerce as an example. You'll actually just build your keyword optimized blog on the back end, and then any keyword phrase that you determine is necessary for your site, you'll optimize your e-commerce site for it by putting the keyword phrase in your title and your meta description, meta keywords, H1 tag, that kind of thing. He says, I've been thinking of adding a WordPress blog to the site. Should I go ahead and add it now, or should I wait until later in the boot camp? That's all part of Module 2. So you either have access to it already, Bob, or you will shortly. Robert asks, once you've done research on Market Samurai and isolated your keyword phrase, what's the next step to find longer tail phrases to go with them, especially if you're going to use AdWords? I don't cover AdWords. I'm not good at AdWords, so I do know enough about AdWords to tell you that you don't want to find, 200 long tail keyword phrases and stuff them in an AdWords account, because that's a way to get your quality score lowered and get super high click-through rates. But regardless, once you've done research on Market Samurai and isolated your keyword phrases, if you want to find longer tail keyword phrases, then just undo your SEO traffic filter, and you'll be able to see the longer tail keyword phrases that don't necessarily get the 100 searches a day that we were looking for originally. Jim asks, in the video Bootcamp Module 1, about one-third into the video, or this is the Cleanse Detox keyword research video, about one-third of the way into the video, it shows the Market Samurai SEO competition page. The domain Detox Reviews is in red of BLD, while most of the other sites are in yellow, even though they have far more backlinks to the domain. Why is that? I'll actually find out very, very quickly for you. Let's take a look. I'm just going into Market Samurai and running a quick search for that and seeing if I can figure it out for you. Oh, you know what? I don't know what keyword phrase that was for, so I can't look it up right now. I don't know. Jim, if you want to leave a comment and give me the keyword phrase that I was looking at that time so that I can look it up, I can give you an answer, but I can't right now because I don't know what keyword phrase that particular site was coming up under when we were looking at SEO competition. Sean asks, do the concepts within the Bootcamp series work with an affiliate program such as Build a Niche Store? Yes, absolutely. Tim asks, what if I already have a website but the domain name does not use the keywords? Is there another approach besides changing the domain name? I'm going to set up other sites the correct way. Just wondering if there is another way to work with what we've already set up. It's fairly new, but without a lot of traffic. That depends on what you mean by fairly new and not a lot of traffic. If you're getting 2 or 3 hits a day, then I would almost scrap it and get a keyword-focused domain name. By fairly new, if you mean that you've bought it in the last couple of months, then I would probably scrap it and get a keyword-focused domain name. But if it's over a year old and it's getting a decent amount of hits that you don't want to lose, then you can work with that domain. There's really no reason to have a non-keyword-focused domain unless you're doing something like what I'm doing with the Crowd Mountain site itself, which is brand building. I want people to recognize the name Crowd Mountain, whereas if I created a program on a domain name called, Learn How to Build Niche Sites and Get Traffic, that, number one, sounds like everything else in the internet marketing niche, and it's really kind of boring, and it's not going to be remembered. So Tim, I'd have to know exactly what your reason is for using that domain name that doesn't have keywords on it. Again, if it's not for brand building and it's just because that's what was available at the time, then scrap it and 301 it to your new site and get a keyword-focused domain name. Next question is from Bill. He says, how to best use the main keywords in the domain name? How important is it to have the phrase match keywords at the beginning of the domain name versus the keywords further in the domain name but conveying more about the purpose of the site? Bill, I haven't done specific tests on this, like a domain keywordblog.com versus blogaboutkeyword.com kind of domain where at the beginning or the end. I do think when people go into Google and do a search for your site, and they bold the keyword phrases, and that keyword phrase is also bolded in your domain name, that when it comes up at the beginning, it's more noticeable. But I haven't done specific tests about it. I have heard that it looks better, or that it ranks better at the beginning, but I can't say specifically. And I would imagine that if it were to make a difference, it would be a very, very, very insignificant difference. So my recommendation would absolutely be to, if the domain name makes a lot more sense with having the keywords at the end, then go ahead and do that, as long as you've got the keywords in them and your domain name isn't getting super-duper long. Nick asks, I've noticed that most people who are selling products on the web are using some form of brandable domain rather than a keyword-focused domain. This seems especially true when it comes to ebooks. When is it appropriate to select a domain name that doesn't have a keyword in it, or is it a better idea to use both of the domains for different purposes? Yeah, one of the things is to take into account is if you are going to be selling your own product and if you're going to have an in-house affiliate program, or any affiliate program, I should say. I took 30-minute backlinks, which is one of my products, and I chose to have a keyword-focused domain for that particular product and that particular product's name because I knew that I was going to put the product up on ClickBank, and I knew that I would have affiliates from ClickBank linking to my site with their ClickBank hop link, and that would generate tons and tons and tons of backlinks for my own site throughout the web. I also knew that if I used the product name as 30-minute backlinks, then those affiliates would most likely be linking to me with my keyword phrase backlinks in their link. They would say, click here to check out 30-minute backlinks, and that would be a link to my site with a keyword phrase in it. And over time, all of those affiliates doing all of that work for me in terms of link building actually ended up that they built a lot of links for me, and I was able to rank for a one-word keyword phrase, backlinks. One second. Sorry, I had to cough. But like I talked about earlier, also with Crowd Mountain, I really wanted to build a community here. And it's hard to build a community, like I said, when your site is called something like How to Build Niche Sites on the Internet and Make Lots of Money and Get Tons of Traffic, or, some other typical Internet marketing kind of product name. And I also felt like it wasn't possible to convey everything that the product does, that Crowd Mountain is about, in a domain name that is keyword-focused. So instead, I'm creating a brand around it. And again, it's going to come down to, what's your site about? Is it something that you're really trying to brand and to have people recognize that name, or do you just want to rank number one in Google for something and then have people click through to an affiliate product that they purchase and that you get a commission for and that you aren't necessarily building a relationship with people? So I think that's the key right there. Are you building relationships, or are you just trying to make a sale? Not that that's a bad thing. I've got plenty of sites that do that, and I don't want to imply that that's a bad thing. But if you're not building relationships, then get a keyword-focused domain name. And if you are building relationships, then, see if it's possible to squeeze a keyword in your domain name. But if it's not, and you've got the time to put into really building that brand, then go ahead and go with one that isn't a keyword-focused domain name. Charlie asks, hi, Michelle. What tools or techniques do you use to keep up with all of your Web 2.0, social bookmarking, e-zine articles, blogs, etc., and the links between them so that you know what's been done on what and what is linking to what? I use the task manager that you guys have access to inside Crowd Mountain, and I also use a thing called Tasks Pro that is a script that you install in your domain and that lets you assign tasks to people and create like projects that you new websites up, and here's the project of all of the things that need to be done to automate it. And I use that for certain projects that are more outsourced. Okay, this is a duplicate question. Here's one from Margaret. While researching niches, I found several areas that had categories on eHow and Expert Village, but did not have any entries. For example, for weddings, I won't actually give that away. For weddings, there was a particular category, but with no information or videos. Does that mean a possible niche, or does that mean stay away? Well, I mean, it also depends on the numbers from Market Samurai. I've got her keyword phrase here, and I know that keyword phrase does get traffic. But, so you need to look at Market Samurai. It's great if something at eHow or Expert Village doesn't have any entries, and yet it is a high-trafficked keyword phrase, which is what Margaret's got here. But in the end, you've got to look at the numbers in Market Samurai. But, yes, if there isn't anything on those sites, that means that you do have an opportunity to put something up there and be seen on those sites. Bill says, do you have a process that helps determine how long a niche will be viable for, or a way to track it so that you can know when competitors are targeting you and your placement directly? How long a niche will be viable for? I mean, it comes down to just looking at your niche. If it's, something that, like the presidential elections, you know that that's only going to come around every 4 years. So that's not necessarily something that you want to get into unless you just don't mind waiting 4 years to get your traffic, which is fine. You can it's like people do, big stuff around the Christmas season, and you know that, like, your site about toys is going to get the majority of its traffic in November, December. But, you make a ton of money during that time, so that's fine. Sorry, having a sip of my Powerade. A way to track it so that you can know when competitors are targeting you and your placement directly. There's actually a new tool out. There's actually a couple things coming out. One is private, and I can't tell you about it quite yet until it's released, but it will be available, from what I understand, any day now. That will let you track your domain and different keywords that it's ranking for, and you can see when your domain loses rank or gains rank and stuff like that for particular keyword phrases, which sometimes is indicative of a competitor trying to outrank you. But right now, on my big sites that are money sites that are doing really, really well, that I actually really care about the rank for, I just, enter them in Google and see where I'm going, and I don't do much to actually track my competitors. I look at myself and what I'm doing and what I may need to do to get my rank back if I lose it for whatever reason. Steve asks, I've got a couple of questions. Is it okay to use a subdomain with your keyword, or is a new memorable domain better? Yeah, don't use subdomains. Get a new domain. He also asks, will it be possible to have a video on how to use Amazon S3 sometimes in the future? Yeah, absolutely. Let me make a note of that. It is a godsend. I love S3. So I will do that for you guys, absolutely. Also, will you experience using a video-only squeeze page for this launch in comparison to other launches? Yeah, I'll be talking about that in the Deconstructing the Launch series that I'm putting together. So we'll talk about having a video-only squeeze page, absolutely. Kevin says, very excited to be here, and thanks for your hard work. Well, thank you, Kevin. I have to ask, because I'd kick myself if I didn't, where did I get the Task Manager plugin? I had my people build it for me. And he says that he's been looking for this. No, it's something that I had built just for me, and I'm giving you guys access to inside the site. Kathy asks, you said that after you finish with Market Samurai, you would head over to Google to do more research. Do we ever have to worry about using Yahoo? We check Yahoo for backlinks of our own sites, like, you're doing some link building and you want to see what the progress is. You'll go to Yahoo and check your backlinks there in their Yahoo Site Explorer tool, and this is because Google doesn't show you all of the backlinks that they know about your domain, even though they pick them up and they include them in their algorithm. They don't necessarily give them to you when you do a backlink query on Google. So we check Yahoo for that kind of thing, and I'll also check Yahoo for a particular competitor. If I'm looking for a very specific competitor that, say I'm going back and forth within the search engines for, I'll check their Yahoo backlinks just to see who they're getting links from and maybe try to get some links from the same kinds of places. I've been able to find different, say, linking strategies that my competitors were involved in, and then just do the same thing and then rank for a keyword phrase above my competitor. So we'll use Yahoo for that. And if in Market Samurai, when you're doing SEO competition, the backlinks to the page and the backlinks to the domain, that data is coming from Yahoo as well. So we're already kind of using Yahoo when we're looking at our competition. Michael asks, this is about Facebook from all the big Facebook changes. He says, now that Facebook has made it different, do I use Facebook groups to find different niches? No, I don't personally. You can, though. That's awesome. Any place, where you can look and find people who are gathering about a topic is great. When I did the market research and coming up with ideas module, a lot of places will say, go check eBay trends and go check, ask.com trends and Yahoo trends, and upcoming searches and stuff like that. And they'll give you a list of like 70 different places that you can get market ideas from, and then you'll find out when you go to like Yahoo Trends that most of it's about celebrities. And yes, you can make money on celebrities in terms of a singer. Yes, you can tell people ringtones about them and that kind of thing. But for the most part, when I go to those kinds of sites, I'm not really given really cool ideas for informative sites. And I also didn't want to overwhelm you guys with, like, here's a list of 50 sites to get ideas from. So, have fun with that. I wanted to give you guys a really specific process that you can use. And I think I've done that. But, yeah, if you want to go into Facebook groups, or if you want to go into MySpace groups, or if you want to go into, Yahoo groups, Google groups, that kind of thing, and look for ideas, that's great. I've got no problem with that. And the more places that you get ideas, if you need some, the better. No problems there. And then he says, are you going to be showing us the best way to use Facebook to market a product? Yes, we'll talk about that in our social networking module. That's Module 6. Jeff Barson, do I target competitors' names? Yes, I do. I've seen things targeted for eBay purchases, such as not an iPod, for example, so that they're turning up in searches. Is this worth doing? Does Google dislike this? I don't know what you mean by not an iPod, like they're saying. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know exactly what you mean by that, Jeff, sorry. But I will do, like when I'm selling a product, when I was selling BatterAdder in particular, I did a lot of this where I would build links to my domain, to batteradder.com, that used my competitors. Like I think, what were some of the other products back then? I don't even, like Friend Blaster Pro was one. So I would build links to my domain with the anchor text of Friend Blaster Pro, and then usually I wouldn't be able to outrank my competitor for their own product name, but I'd be able to get to be like number 2 in the search engines, and I would siphon off some traffic from them that way. Jeff also asks, how is this site built? With WordPress? Yes, it's WordPress. How are the modules turned on automatically? This is using the incremental content plugin from Amember. The site is managed, and the membership area is managed by Amember and protected by Amember. and then they have an incremental content plugin that I'm using, a WordPress plugin that I'm using, and then membershipacademy.com has a plugin that actually puts the incremental content in the sidebar of your WordPress blog that I purchased and am using. Anne says, I'm having great trouble getting keywords for my niches. Maybe my niches too narrow or too popular? For example, I put in golf and I end up with only one keyword. For martial arts, I end up with 12 keywords. Diet and nutrition, I end up with 0 keywords. Sustainable living, 0 keywords. Does this mean to forget the 0 and 1? And martial arts is looking okay? Does this mean forget the 0 and 1 and martial arts is looking okay? Well, putting in really, really, really broad keyword phrases aren't necessarily going to result in what Market Samurai does is, so you put in golf, it's going to pick you 200 keyword phrases related to that. And there's a lot more keyword phrases related to golf than those 200. So you'll need to pick some of the more top-level, say, 2-word keyword phrases. Like, let me just do this real quick. I'm going to put in golf in Market Samurai and run the keyword research, and hopefully we'll get something back shortly. But basically, like for martial arts, let's take that as an example. Rather than putting in martial arts, what about putting in specific kinds of martial arts like Taekwondo or Aikido or karate or, I don't know, I can't think of any others right now. But try those as well. You don't necessarily just want to look at your top-level keyword phrase like diet and nutrition. You can look at specific kinds of diets, low-carb diet, that kind of thing, and go further into your niche. You're trying to dig down and find things that people are searching for that is not a top-level keyword phrase. Still waiting on data from our golf keyword to come up, but once it does, I'll give you another example. So I'll go on to the next question, then once I get those golf keywords back, then I will go back to that. Pete says, you say to always use a keyword in your domain. Why don't you use your keyword in Crowd Mountain? I already covered that because I'm doing a brand building exercise with this site. Okay. Carol says, hopefully you can clear up my confusion and explain this so I can better understand the method of keyword research we're doing with Market Samurai. Assume that I am an affiliate marketing a particular ClickBank product that tells people how to do something related to, I'm not going to give away her details here, but it tells people how to do something related to being environmentally conscious. To get targeted buyers to my site, I would research and optimize my site for buying keywords. And then she's listed a couple keywords that are related to the product. I think that I would see higher conversions optimizing for these buying keywords rather than for general keywords like this is a higher level keyword that probably gets the kind of traffic that she's looking for related to her niche. But it seems that most of the promising keywords that Market Samurai finds are the more general ones. I'm trying to make sense of how I'm supposed to build a profitable website if I'm optimizing for more general keywords rather than the buying keywords. I thought that general keywords attract information seekers, people that are still in the evaluation process and not ready to buy. Okay, this is a difference between what you're optimizing your entire site for and what you're optimizing an individual page for. You're going to optimize your site for a higher level keyword phrase that gets more traffic. Like she wrote, the ones that are more promising in Market Samurai are the more general ones. Absolutely, and that's usually the case in that they get more traffic. People looking for how to buy a rope tire swing for children. That's an awesome buying keyword phrase, absolutely, but it doesn't get that much traffic. So instead, I would optimize my site for a keyword phrase like tire swings, which are information seekers, and then I'm going to have individual pages on my site that are optimized for that specific buying keyword phrase of, where to buy a rope tire swing for my kids. And that's what we'll do later on in the content module. But we already get into it some in our module 2 of optimizing our site. But yes, you want to optimize your big site for your more general keyword phrase that matches the criteria that we're setting in Market Samurai, and then you're going to talk about longer tail buying keyword phrases in individual posts, and those posts will be optimized for those longer tail buying keyword phrases. Carol asks, should we be checking the market value of the niche before we start doing keyword research? I ask this because in the Niche Black Book from Market Samurai, they showed their case studies that revealed that the higher value niche outperforms the lesser value niche every time. Since it takes just as much time and effort to market to a low-value niche as it does to a high-value niche, it would be wise to spend our time in a higher-value niche so we can make the most money of our time and effort. How do you feel about this? I'm not sure what you mean by the higher-value, lower-value niche. If you're talking about, like, SEO value and those kinds of figures, then, yeah, absolutely. If you're choosing between two niches and one's got a higher SEO value and it's predicted that that niche has more money in it, then absolutely go for the higher SEO value niche. And then, but as far as I'm a little confused because you can't really get those values until you do the keyword research, so you'll have to do the keyword research before you can get those SEO values. So I'm sorry if I misunderstand, Carol, but yeah, go for the higher SEO value niches if it's between two niches, absolutely. But there's really no way to get those figures until you run the keyword research. Cohen says, thanks for showing different demonstrations of keyword research. It's very enlightening. Do you outsource some of this? No, I do not outsource keyword research because I feel like it's something that while I'm in this business because I'm a marketer, and you are too, and you're the one that's going to be able to get, like we talked about earlier, a little bit of a gut feeling, like, is this a good niche or not? Is this a good keyword or not? And that comes, with experience too. But I really want to have control over what I build sites about and what niches I look into because that's why I'm in this business. I like doing that. And I don't think that keyword research, it can't be outsourced to people like, I outsource a lot of stuff to the Philippines and stuff like that. They don't have the knowledge of all the different key phrases and permutations of a word and all that. Their English can be excellent, but they aren't familiar with necessarily American or English-speaking culture as much. So you can't outsource it to other countries. And then, like, I've seen a lot of, Warrior special offers and stuff like that where they're like, we'll do they do keyword research for you for $50 or something, and everything that I've ever seen return from those is absolute crap. So, no, don't outsource keyword research. Do it yourself. Next question is from Sue. I found a keyword that tests really well, but the trending has gone down over the last few months. I think it might be because it's somewhat related to the school year, so I assume it would trend back up. Is trending down a red light or still worth going for? Sue, I'm going to make a video for you on that and put it up in the members area. And I'm writing a note on that right now. I can explain it to you, but I can actually show you how to do it yourself in a video. But I would guess from what you've said so far, and for this particular keyword, it might be somewhat related to the school year that you would assume it would trend back up, then that's great. But I'll show you guys all exactly how to look into it when I make this video for you. Chris, could you give me some suggestions on cost per action networks that you have used and are happy with? We'll talk about that in monetization, Chris. Kathy says, once I come up with a domain name, is it worth it for me to also buy the domain name in different formats like a .com? Oh, no. She's saying, for instance, pinkvegetables.com, pinkveggies.com, pinkveggies.com spelled a different way. And then she says, is this overkill? I don't think that that's overkill. Let me put it this way. If you're working in a niche that is wide open and, well, no. In this case, I'm sorry, I wouldn't actually buy, like, different spellings of a keyword of a domain name, but if I'm looking at a niche and it's really, really, really wide open and it's got lots of stuff, different keyword phrases that you can rank for, then I might certainly buy different keyword phrases in the domain. So like growpinkveggies.com, cookpinkveggies.com, pinkveggiefarming.com. If those are all different keyword phrases that have potential in a niche and that is really just wide open and I want to just take the whole niche, over, then yeah, you can do that. But I wouldn't just do like different spellings for no particular reason. Jack says, I have a loser of web names for rankings, websites named after my books. Do you recommend scrapping those or starting over, or can I make up for that with content? Okay, so you have websites that have domain names that are named after your books. Do I recommend scrapping them and starting over? If they're not getting any traffic, then I would go with a keyword-focused domain name, and you can take any content that you have on your current domain and move it over to the new one. But if you're not getting any traffic, then you're not losing anything. Just 301 the site to your new site. Sean says, regarding the qualifying worksheet, as a relative newbie to Internet marketing, I don't feel that I've developed a sense for evaluating these potential niches unless I have some system for evaluation. Can you please go into more detail on how to determine the rating of each one of these qualifying factors? Okay, this doesn't have anything to do with being a newbie to marketing. It's got to do with just looking at the niche. Do people buy things? Do people talk about it a lot? Do people talk to each other about it? Do they recommend it to each other? That sort of thing. So this isn't a scientific experiment, the qualifying worksheet. It's just a way for you to look at your niches and get some info off the top without going into deep keyword research for every single keyword out there, because that would take you a lot of time. So this just kind of shortens it up for you. 1 second. There's a bunch more questions coming in for the Q&A, so I am bringing those in. And next question, John. Is the copy I can read on the homepage what is known as having a keyword-rich homepage, or are they those that go into meta tags, etc.? I don't know what you mean, John. Sorry. Okay, he says, if I want more traffic and hits, should I SEO my blog or my website? The blog and the website are not on the same platform. You should SEO both your blog and your website if you've got both. Sue says, is it normal to end up with no possible options in a particular niche, or is there always profitable keywords? There's not always, no. And Sue asks, I hope I'm not asking too many questions. Absolutely not, Sue. I found a keyword that looks great. It gets 167 SEO traffic, 100% PBR, but it has an AdWords value of 0 and an SEO value of 0. Why would these numbers be at 0? I don't know. It really depends on the keyword. Check out the keyword, like do a search for it and look at the AdWords ads. Are there AdWords ads for that keyword? How many are there? If there's 2-3 pages of AdWords ads and somebody's making money in the niche, and it could be, a glitch from Google, because Google doesn't, 90% of the time they give us good information, and Market Samurai is getting their data from Google. So 90% of the time you get good information, but sometimes it's a little bit off. So this is where your common sense comes into play. Is this a keyword in a niche where people buy things? Is this keyword, does it have permutations or longer tail keyword phrases related to it that are specific buying keyword phrases? That kind of thing. I've also seen when a keyword has no trending data in Google that all that kind of stuff will come up at 0. And so, again, that's a matter of looking in the niche itself and doing a little bit of research in that niche and determining, based on your own intelligence, are these numbers that Google's giving me potentially skewed or not correct? Because sometimes they're not. Mike says, regarding affiliate links, please explain the difference between raw and unique affiliate links. A raw affiliate link would be the affiliate link that an affiliate program gives you. For example, ClickBank would be your ClickBank name the merchant name .hop.clickbank.net. And it's just ugly. And if you use a way to mask or redirect your affiliate links, you can have it look like yourdomain.com/click here, and it just looks better. So people will sometimes not click on an affiliate link that they know is an affiliate link because it looks weird and it's long and all that kind of stuff. So that's why we like to make our affiliate links look prettier. And also in Module 2, we use the redirection plugin, and that helps us mask our affiliate links, and it also lets us get click tracking data on those affiliate links. So we want that to give us more information about our products, or about our websites and what people are clicking on. Okay, now I'm going back over into the golf niche that we were talking about. So I've entered in golf into Market Samurai. I've got 198 keywords back, and I'm going to guess that if I go into Analyze Keywords and I just put in my criteria, I think that question was from Ann, was it? Yeah. That if I put in my criteria of 100 searches a day and 100,000 traffic and all that kind of, 100 SEO competition, 100,000, that I'm going to end up with no keywords that are left, like Ann did. What we need to do instead is look at related key phrases that are coming up. Like one of the ones here at the very top is golf clubs. So I would look into golf clubs and bring up another tab in Market Samurai and try to find other things related to golf but specific to golf clubs. And I'd run another keyword research tab in Market Samurai for that. Here's another one, golf tips. Golf swing tips, that's a good one. Callaway is a brand. TaylorMade is a brand. Titleist is a brand. Irons, golf iron clubs, golf apparel. So these are all other keywords that you'll look into. With the limits of the Google tool that Market Samurai gets its data from, you're only going to get 200 keywords. Now, we all know that there are thousands and thousands and thousands of keywords related to golf. So, you need to look deeper into that niche. And I did that in I think all of the keyword research videos, where we do our top-level search for a top-level 1 or 2 word keyword phrase, and then we look deeper and try to find other keyword phrases that are 2 or 3 or 4 keyword or words long, so that we get deeper into the niche and find things that weren't necessarily apparent when we got our first 200 results back from Google. And I'm going to get the questions that have come in during the call. And if you are listening live on this call and I haven't explained something thoroughly and you would like to, and you'd like me to clarify or anything like that, you can go ahead and go to the Q&A session page and fill out the question form, and it will be sent to me immediately. So I'll get it and be able to answer those questions for you. Okay, next question. Mike says, what is a long-tail keyword? A long-tail keyword is a keyword that has more than, say, 2 words in it. So a regular keyword phrase might be baby monitors. A long-tail keyword phrase would be even flow baby monitors. Whisper Connect Tria is the one that I've got in front of me. So it's just longer keyword phrases, and in general, they're easier to rank for. Wes says, doing a Google search about it might be a good idea first. I bought joinaweber.com, and they were on me before I ever put anything up. And I told them I was going to use it for my affiliate site. They didn't care. Yeah, that's why it comes down to whoever you're working with. They can be different about how litigious they care about their name being in different things. I don't blame AWeber, though. Having a bunch of internet marketers spamming everybody about their product is no good. Rochelle says, thank you for answering about researching for current sites that weren't initially researched. Regarding current, not new sites that we do keyword research for, should we redirect any pages that we change? Or should we leave the page URL alone and just change other factors on the page, like the meta tags, title, and description? If so, how do you recommend redirecting the changed URL pages? If you're going to change the URL on any pages, then you need to do a 301 redirect, and you should do it via your htaccess file, as that does a server-side redirect, and it tells Google that the page has permanently moved to this new page that you've created. And I'm not quite sure. I know a little bit about your sites, Rochelle, from talking and working together before. but I'm not quite sure why you would need to redirect pages in the first place. If you've got a site up and it's on a blog, then there's really no reason to have to change anything because all of your meta tag titles, description, all that kind of stuff is going to be changed within your WordPress administration, and it's not going to affect the URL of your pages. Next question is from Ricardo. It says, what does a gateway page with a form need to have to pass the Google slap? How does every sales page need a website behind it? How do you launch an affiliate promotion quickly and still please Google? These are AdWords questions. I don't do AdWords, but I can tell you that, a gateway page, that's kind of, sort of 2000. If you're talking about an opt-in page with a form, then you'll need to put some content on it, I believe, or you need to be on a trusted domain. Something that I've done in the past is take a domain that I've owned and that ranks well and that has a decent PR, and you can put your site on a directory, subdirectory of that domain, and Google tends to give it a higher quality score. Next question, how do we do the keyword research for local niches? Do we delete all high-level keywords that do not include the city? Yeah, if you're working on something that is very, very particular to a local area, then you would want to get rid of keyword phrases that are not related to that specific locale. Bob says, will you be showing us how to use Market Samurai? I think that that's pretty covered in Bootcamp Module 1 and all the videos there, so have a look in all the different links that you're seeing in the Bootcamp Module 1 page, Bob. Donald says, really, is it possible to make $60,000 to $100,000 a year with a blog, and what do you have to do to get it? Yeah, it's entirely possible. Now, blogs that make really, really, really high earnings like that tend to be the blogs like, the Engadget and the Gizmodos and the ones that are updated, 18 times a day about very consumer-specific products that people will click an affiliate link and buy on, or that placing an ad on the site for a manufacturer of a product is a very valuable thing for them. The kind of blogs that we're building here, I'm not looking for my particular site to make $60,000 a year. I want my site, to make, I don't have a particular criteria. I mean, if a site's making me money, I don't get rid of it. You know what I mean? But, what we're looking for here is niches that you can capitalize on, niches that have a unmet need. And by an unmet need, I mean that when people search for something in the search engines, they're either not necessarily getting the information that you want or that are very easy to come into and rank for in the search engines. So in a niche like that, you put up a site and you put up some content and you optimize it, and then it'll make you money on the fly for the next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years. So yes, it's possible to make $100,000 a year with a blog. Is that my goal with the blogs and the kind of sites that we're building here as part of Crowd Mountain? No. If it does, that's awesome, But if I can get a blog that ranks well and that brings me affiliate sales that I don't really have to touch, then I don't care how much it makes because that's money in my pocket that is entirely passive. Mike says, is it better to have a niche about which you are knowledgeable or one which is popular with other people but which you have no knowledge of? Either way, you need a niche that gets the kind of traffic that you need to get, and either way, you need a niche that meets the competition criteria. Now, as far as whether it's something that you're knowledgeable about or not, I like to do niches that I'm knowledgeable about because it makes it a lot easier for me to pay attention to them, because I know something about them, and it also makes it easier to put up content on those niches. I forgot what it was once, but I had a niche site about a particular keyword phrase, and I didn't know anything about it, and I did some searches on it, and I learned a little bit about it. Great, put up a site, and I wish I could remember what the keyword phrase was, but I totally, misunderstood that while this keyword phrase was about the niche that my site was about, that particular keyword phrase also applied to something completely different. So I was getting I got hits from people who weren't interested at all in what I was talking about and were looking for something completely different. And anybody who was actually active in either of those niches understood that, and they would add something else onto their keyword phrase to like differentiate the two niches from each other. So, that's the kind of mistake that you can make about a niche that you have no idea what's going on. So if I get into a niche that I don't know anything about, then I am more careful to do more research and learn a little bit more about it. But in the end, I do prefer to do niches that I'm knowledgeable about because I have a basis of understanding and of information that I can work off of in that niche from the get-go as opposed to having to learn about it. Anwar says, what are the best softwares for running an affiliate website, especially one that is built using Joomla? I don't know. I mean, best software for running an affiliate site, what makes something the best? It depends on what features you're looking for. There's iDev Affiliate. There's one shopping cart. There's, you can always have your Joomla website, as a ClickBank affiliate. I mean, it depends on the features that you want to determine what you mean by best. Okay, this is a nice comment, so I'll skip that. Donald says, why do you like WordPress? Why do you like this above other sources? Because WordPress ranks highly in the search engines. Google likes the way that the pages are structured because there are tons and tons and tons of plugins available, so you can do basically whatever you want with it. Because there's lots of themes available, so I don't have to be a web designer to make my site look decent. Roy says, the niche that I chose happens to be women's apparel. It's brand name focused. Can you please give me an example about how you would create a domain name? For example, Louis Vuitton. Like we talked about, using a domain name that is specific to a particular brand could be a very bad idea in that it could be taken away from you. And for this reason, it may not be a good idea to build an entire site around a particular brand. And again, you'll want to look at the history of litigiousness of a particular company and kind of make a determination on yourself. I'm not a lawyer, and I can't tell you. I can tell you that, if something is trademarked, then they can take it away from you. But, keeping in mind here what we're doing, if you've got a site about Louis Vuitton handbags, what's the draw for people? Why are they coming to your site? Women's apparel, this is very product-centered. And so, like I talked about before with the baby monitor, I wouldn't necessarily build a site about Louis Vuitton handbags unless I had something interesting to say about them. I'm not into, fancy handbags, so I don't have anything interesting to say about them. So instead, I might do like handbagreviews.com and talk about different brands and showcase different things. But just looking at one particular product from one particular brand, it's not very interesting. And it's not going to provide you as many points of entry for people to come into your site in terms of long-tail keyword phrases. James says, I've been using newsstands to search for niche ideas. My thoughts are that that's great. Like I said before, any place that you can get niche ideas is awesome. Rochelle says, is there a way that we can gain access to the next module sooner than a week? Nope. Donald says, how can you tell if someone is giving you a line of crap or if they have something that you should listen to? I asked 4 simple questions to you so you know that I am a beginner in all of this. And then he says, laugh. To be honest, it's tough. I mean, there's a lot of people out there who run around all day talking about how much they know, and they really have no idea what's going on as far as, like, search engine optimization stuff in particular. That for me has always come from my gut when I'm looking at people that I want to learn from. What's my gut feeling about the person? Also, is the jerk always trying to sell you something? Like, is every single email that somebody sends you out a pure affiliate link kind of email? There's one guy that I can think of in particular, and I won't name him, but, every single day he emails his list, and every single day he uses some, like, really catchy subject line, and it gets you to open it. And you open it and you think that you're going to learn about something, and then it's like he gives you a quarter of the story and then click here to buy this product to get the rest of the story. I hate that, I need to make my living, and I need to sell stuff. I can't give away everything that I do for free. Absolutely, and I don't expect any other marketer to either. But I also want people to succeed, and I want people to have at least like a basis of knowledge so that they can understand what's going on in internet marketing and in SEO and in social media. And so I do give away a lot of stuff for free. And no, it's not a matter of this guy gives away stuff for free and this guy doesn't, so this guy's cool and this guy's, no good. But, what value do you get from that person in the end? There are people who have really flashy, cool products that do what they say, but, you realize once you get in that it's not necessarily giving you a foundation. They're selling you a push button, and a push button doesn't give you the foundation that you need to go on from this business when that push button solution doesn't work anymore, because things change. And if somebody's selling you push button solutions all the time with no foundation and no education about how the marketing process works, then they might not be somebody that you want to learn from, because you actually need to learn the basics. You need to learn the basics of SEO. You need to learn the basics of putting up a site and doing your keyword research and that kind of stuff, so that you can create new connections and insights and techniques on your own. I hope that makes sense, Donald. Michael says, until the monetization module, do we put any posts in the blogs we're building? No. You can if you want, but we'll talk about that more in the content module. John says, does having good keywords on the homepage mean that when the visitor is able to see when reading the page, or does it refer to what is behind the homepage, such as code? We talk about all that in Module 2, John, exactly where your keywords are going to go on your pages. Nora says, please, when you speak so fast, I can't follow. I'm sorry, Nora. It's I will try to slow down some. Next question from Bill says, I noticed your reluctance to use hyphens in domain names. Would you use one if it was the only way to get a domain name for a top-level keyword phrase? No, I never, ever, 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 ever use hyphens. Google doesn't like hyphens. Hyphens are ugly. People have become accustomed to, in 2005, in 2006, when everybody was buying like super long hyphen domain names for their spammy AdSense sites, and I was building spammy AdSense sites. I'm not knocking spammy AdSense sites from back in the day. That's what we did. But, we'd put keywords in our domain name so that we could get our keyword in our domain name. And then people would do a search, and they'd notice all of these hyphens in the domain names, and then people actually stopped clicking on these hyphenated domain names because those hyphenated domain names became associated in their mind with spammy search results. So no matter what Google thinks, I still don't use hyphenated domain names because people are somewhat trained to think that hyphenated domain names are a little bit yucky. Next question is from Nora. Okay, this is because I was talking too fast for you, Nora. The incremental content plugin, okay, there's two that I'm using to run Crowd Mountain. I'm using Amember, which is AMember.com, and I know you said that I don't have to spell the domain names for you, but I will. Amember is what I use to power the membership site. They have their own incremental content feature, and you'll need that from them. Then at membershipacademy.com, they have a plugin for WordPress that will allow the incremental content to appear in the sidebar of your WordPress blog. So that's what I'm using on the Crowd Mountain site. Okay, Rochelle says, she asked the question earlier about redoing a domain name and redirecting things to new URLs. And I knew that her site was on WordPress, so I was a little bit confused about what she meant by if you've got a URL and you change it, how should you redirect it? And in her case, the issue is that she would probably be changing her category names, and those categories then, because that's part of our URL structure, would potentially change. And I am not 100% sure, Rochelle, but I'm like 99% sure that once you have the redirection plugin enabled in WordPress, which is part of Module 2, you enable that, and then if you go in and rather than deleting categories, because that will just put them back into your main category in WordPress, if you delete a category in WordPress, all of the posts that are tagged with that category will then go to the default category. So rather than deleting categories, what you want to do is you want to edit your category names to the new categories that you want to use, and edit the permalink. The category slug is what they call it in WordPress. You want to edit the category slug to the new keyword phrase. You want to edit the category name to the new keyword phrase. And I am, like I said, 99.9% sure that when you do it that way, that the redirection plugin will pick up those changes that have been made and will redirect the old URL to the new URL for those posts that you've already made. So I hope that makes sense. And test it on maybe, like, create a category just to test it out. Enable the redirection plugin, create a category, a brand new one, and just call it, like, test_demo or something, and create a post in that category, put it up, and then change that category's name and category slug, and then see if you go to that old URL, if redirection picks it up and 301s you to the new one. Next question is from Kate. She says, I've got a fairly new blog with a focus on Internet marketing and all that I'm learning in Internet marketing. As I bring new sites online, does it make sense to create a page on my existing Internet marketing site that contains a summary of each new site with links to the new sites? Do I think, or in my experience, will this bring organic traffic to my new sites? It depends on if those sites that you are building in addition to your Internet marketing blog, if they're related to Internet marketing. Sometimes if, you've got an Internet like if you look on my main blog, MichelleMcPherson.com, and you look at the Revolution Tilt websites section in the sidebar, there's a link to contemporary wall art. And that's a site that I started for my husband's art. And for many reasons, which I won't get into on this call, it hasn't moved forward as I would like it to. But nonetheless, I do link to it from my Internet marketing site, even though it's not an Internet marketing site, and it did pick up some significant traffic because its rank in Google went up due to that link. So it wasn't necessarily click-through traffic, although I do get some of that too because people visit my Internet marketing blog and then they're like, oh, that's a niche site of hers. Let's go see what she's doing on that site. But if you're working in sites that are not about Internet marketing and you want to link to those from your Internet marketing blog, you can do so. But you have to then be not worried about people in the Internet marketing area finding out about your niches. And if they're Internet marketing sites, then yeah, you absolutely want to link to them from your Internet marketing blog. Kate says, do you ever incorporate e-commerce sites into your niches? Will this be something you cover? Yes, I do this, and I do it with a very specific add-in to WordPress that pulls data feeds into WordPress. And if e-commerce is something that you guys are interested in, then I can cover that. It's not part of the core Bootcamp because to get this plugin in, from the people that put it together, it does have a cost associated with it. And, what we're doing in the Bootcamp is all just, organic, build your stuff from the beginning. But if you want to get into e-commerce sites and data feeds and stuff like that, I can put together a unit on that and tell you exactly what I use and how I do it. Carol says, I'm a little confused. I thought the exercise of going through all these levels of keywords was to find a keyword that we could successfully optimize and build a site around. But as I listen to you now, it sounds like these keywords we dig for are to build pages for. I think I'm missing something about the Market Samurai keyword research process about how to first find a main keyword for the niche site and then find keywords for specific pages. Okay, Carol, let me try to explain it to you in a different way. You've got a topic, right? And your topic, I'm going to use the baby monitors example that we've been talking about here. You want to build a site, and this is your niche. This is your market. This is your higher top-level keyword phrase. and you decide that you want to build a site, like I said, about baby monitors. Then you need something to talk about on your site, right? So you're going to have different posts and different pages on your site that talk about different things about baby monitors, just because you have to have some content on your site to make some money with it. So what we will do is we're going to look at what's called long-tail keyword phrases, and we're going to base those pages that we create to fill our big baby monitor site with content. We're going to find long-tail keyword phrases that are about baby monitors that we can build short articles or other kinds of content around on our site. And this is so that, number one, we have a site that's focused entirely on baby monitors, and number two, so that we can pick up traffic from these other long-tail keyword phrases that wouldn't be worthwhile building a site about. Yes, I could build a site about Even Flow Whisper Connect Tria baby monitor, but I'm not going to get a lot of traffic, right? So instead, I'm going to build a site about baby monitors. I'm going to talk about baby monitors on my site, and one of those baby monitors that I might talk about would be the Even Flow Whisper Connect Tria baby monitor, and I would build a page that talks about that particular item using that particular long-tail keyword phrase, so that I get the benefit of both the traffic from the main keyword phrase, like baby monitors, and then I'd also get the benefit of the traffic from the longer tail keyword phrases, like Even Flow Whisper Connect Tria baby monitor. So what we're doing is we're attacking a niche from both sides. We're getting traffic from the higher level, more general keywords like we talked about, and we're also getting traffic from the lower level and less trafficked keyword phrases that are a little bit more long tail. And in the meantime, as we put up content from both areas on the more general and on the more specific keyword phrases, long tail keyword phrases, we're also letting Google know all around that this is what our site is about. And that's part of latent semantic indexing, which is what we talk about a little bit in Module 2. Latent semantic indexing is Google looking for a site about baby monitors. They know that when you're looking up baby monitors in Google, a site that's in the top results should also have, say, information about baby safety, because a lot of people buy monitors to make sure that their child is safe, or that a brand of baby monitors is Even Flow. So one of the things that Google will look for on any particular page about, say, baby monitors is that it has these other keyword phrases that are related to baby monitors but aren't exactly the same as baby monitors. They'll want to see things about baby safety, or like, I just bought a video monitor for one of my kids who keeps getting out of bed so that I don't have to go upstairs and be like, get back in bed. So one of the things, that they talk about a lot for baby monitors is safety, and like being in video baby monitors is being able to like see your infant breathing to make sure that he's safe and that he's okay still. So I know that one of the things that Google might look for when it visits pages about video baby monitors is that it has night vision. And I know, this is again just from my own research in this topic, I know that when people when Google's looking at a page about video baby monitors, that it will oftentimes mention to put your baby monitor, the video camera, near the crib. So Google might look for the word crib. They might look for the word night vision, like I said. Different features of a particular niche that are often associated with it. And when you start building so that's what latent semantic indexing is. It's looking, yes, you have a main keyword phrase, but then there are other things that are oftentimes associated with that main keyword phrase. And when you start to build a site like I'm talking about here, where you have a main keyword phrase for the whole site, and then you've got some sub-keyword phrases, longer tail keyword phrases that you build individual pages about, you're also letting Google know in that respect that your site covers all aspects of your particular keyword phrase, and that's part of latent semantic indexing, and that's what they're looking for. So that's why we're doing it that way. Kelly says, my domain is focused on, I'm not going to give her domain out, it's focused on work-at-home moms doing well financially and spiritually. Is this too general, and should I have work-at-home mom in my domain name? Kelly, yeah, you're on more of a brand building mission. I'm assuming by your domain name and by what you're talking about here. So, you'll use some of the link building and some of the Social networking stuff that we're going to be doing in Module 5 and 6. Her domain name contains the word moms instead of work-at-home moms. I would say that that's close enough, but, again, it comes down to how long have you had the domain. Is it getting traffic already? Do you care if you lose that traffic? Is it significant enough that it matters to you? Because if you've done the keyword research and you found a keyword that contains work-at-home moms in it, that would do significantly better as far as getting organic search engine traffic, then it might be worthwhile to switch. But it depends on the numbers, and it depends on what keywords you found. How much is Market Samurai, and do we get a discount on the price? I think it's like, it's honestly, I don't know. I'm sorry. I think it's like $100. John says, do I offer to evaluate a site? If not, who do you know who can do this, given what you know about all aspects of site design and enhancement? No, I don't know anybody that does evaluations of sites, but I think that I'll add that in as part of Module 2. As you guys set up your sites, I'll do an evaluation on some of them so that I can take a look at the sites and make sure that all of the kinds of optimization is integrated onto your site. Kate says, I'm using Thesis. Do you know if the plugins you recommend for WordPress will be necessary for Thesis, or should I check with Chris? I don't know anything about Thesis. I haven't used it. Carol says, I thought that Google did not like you to link to yourself. I think, Carol, you're referring to when I was talking about creating a page on your site that links to other sites that you own. It's okay, absolutely. It's the matter of when that's all that the site has, the site that you're linking to. If they only have a link from your domain, both domains are on the same IP, both domains are on the same server, then, yeah, Google knows that you're just linking to yourself. They're not going to punish you because there's no reason to. If you've only got one link, there's really not much to punish because you probably aren't ranking anyway. So as far as Google not liking you linking to yourself, that's when you've got several sites and they're all interlinked to each other, and that's all that they have going on for themselves. You need more than that going on for a site. You need to get links from outside sources. But they're not going to penalize you for linking to a site that you happen to own. They expect that people will link to sites that they own, of course. And I'm going to wait for the next questions to come in. There's a couple waiting for me in the mailbox, and I'm just waiting to get them in. So I will have a sip of my Gatorade while I do so. And let's see, here we go. Kate says, please, yes, on the e-commerce and data feeds information. And honestly, I completely appreciate that you're so candid and straightforward. Thank you, Kate. Rick Butt says that I want to be a beekeeper. I want to keep bees because they have too much freedom. And that's an Eddie Izzard quote. Thank you, Rick. Appreciate that. Here's another vote for a module on e-commerce from Mike. And will the type of sites that we're building be compatible with drop shippers like worldwide brands? Yeah, optimization is optimization. So it doesn't matter what you're using to bring in your stuff. Your site needs to be optimized regardless. Karina says, you said that Google ranks WordPress websites higher than others. Is it worth it to change a website over from what I have? Well, I don't know what you currently have, Karina, but I don't know what you currently have, so I can't say. But overall, if you're running a site that currently isn't getting a lot of traffic and that you would like to get optimized and get more traffic on, then yes, it's worthwhile moving it over to WordPress and following what we're talking about in the bootcamp for it. Absolutely. Carol says Market Samurai is $149. There we go. And here's somebody else. Kelly says that it's $69. Well, it's still in beta, so I'm sorry, guys. I don't know the answer to that one. And Rochelle says, your training's awesome, and I really appreciate what you've done up to this point on this site and with the Q&A. Oh, thank you, Rochelle. Appreciate it. And let's see if there's any other Q&As coming in. Nope. Okay. I'm going to open up the call very, very quickly and see if there's anything that I haven't answered. How do I unmute you guys? Okay, you guys should be unmuted. And if anybody has any other leftover questions that they want to ask, now is your chance to do so live.
Michelle, it's Carol. Can I clarify something with you really quickly?
Absolutely, Carol.
Okay, so much for the overview on the keyword research. And I guess I'm not asking my question very clearly because what I'm having the confusion about is the topic of the site. We're not actually researching in Market Samurai to research the keyword for the site. We're just choosing a topic, like, for instance, you're using baby monitors. And then we're using Market Samurai to actually research the long-tail keywords that we're going to use to drive traffic to the site. Is that correct?
Sort of. Part of it is that you're getting ahead of yourself in terms of, and you know, some of the stuff that I've talked about in this call would certainly cause you to. So I'm not blaming you at all. Don't take that the wrong way. I'm sorry, but no. We need a main keyword phrase for our site. We need something that our site is optimized for. And all of that criteria that I give you as far as using for Market Samurai is going to be that more general keyword phrase. Later on when we start writing content, yeah, we're going to look at long-tail keyword phrases and much more specific keyword phrases so that we can build content that is content that people are actually searching for on Google. So that's the point of the long-tail stuff, and that comes later on when we're doing our content. Right now, we just want a keyword phrase that gets a certain amount of traffic a day and that has decent competition numbers that we can work in.
Okay, but is that particular keyword going to be our main topic, or is for the site, or is it going to be for a page?
No, that's going to be the topic for the whole site.
Okay, that was my confusion.
Okay.
Because a lot of the words that were coming up, I wasn't sure if those were actually going to be words that I would use for a page rather than build a site around.
Yeah, don't even worry about the pages at this point because
gotcha.
Yeah, you don't have to. You just need to find a main topic for the site that gets a certain amount of competition and fits, or a certain amount of traffic and fits in that competition.
Great, gotcha. That was my confusion.
Okay, good. Glad I was able to clear it up for you.
Sure, thank you.
Any other questions?
Michelle.
Yes, sir.
Hi, Don Redding here. I just started a couple months ago in this, and there's quite a bit of a learning curve, but I have made some friends, and they have told me to rework my blogs, and a little bit of knowledge is a dangerous thing, I suppose. So, and to get to the chase of it, I've had 4 people tell me I should go with WordPress, and you like WordPress too. What is it about WordPress that is so powerful?
It ranks higher in the search engines. It's got lots of plugins so that you can do whatever you want with it, and it's got lots of different free themes available so you can make your site look pretty, and you don't have to be a designer.
So you can easily customize it so it doesn't look generic or amateurish.
Yeah, what's your site on right now?
What was that?
What is your site built on right now?
I'm Blogger, and I am not happy with Blogger.
No. Part of the problem with Blogger is kind of what we talked about earlier. Somebody asked, why not put up a site on Squidoo or Hub Pages? Same thing with Blogger. You don't own the site. You don't own the content. You can't customize it. You're on someone else's domain, and you need to have ownership of your site and your content. Absolutely.
And you can do that with WordPress.
Yes, and WordPress... Yeah, WordPress will be perfect for you. And I think that you can port your content from Blogger into a WordPress blog as well. And if you do a Google search on that, you can do that and not lose what you've written.
Yeah, because I got quite a bit of, I got enough with 4 blogs. They were like, why do you have 4 blogs? You're going to drive yourself crazy, and that's what I am. I'm driving myself crazy.
Yeah, get on over to WordPress.
One blog, and then you would have subcategories within that blog to direct them. If you want different topics, then you would have different links going to pages.
Yes.
Going into, and, I just went, 4 blogs. I said, 4 blogs should be easy enough to come up with quality content with. Sure. That's like being a newspaper columnist and working for 4 different newspapers and trying to come up with good content to put on these blogs 2 or 3 times a week, and that's really quite impossible.
It can be difficult to start. The one thing, though, is I don't know exactly what topics you're covering, but you'll need to make sure that your site is all focused around one individual topic that meets the keyword research criteria that we talk about for Market Samurai. And then if the topics of your blogs aren't necessarily related, then they will need to be on separate sites.
Okay, one last question, because I don't want to tie you up, because I know you have plenty of people probably wanting to ask questions. But are you, as somebody who is knowledgeable in a popular subject, okay, are you better off going with that, or maybe going with something that maybe has more of a need, but you don't have the passion or quite the knowledge for?
You mailed that question in, didn't you?
You know, I might have. I don't remember.
I answered that like maybe 20 minutes ago. But in the end, I said that as long as both niches meet the keyword criteria that you're looking for with Market Samurai, then I would go with the one that you're more knowledgeable about, because it's easier to create content on. But again, that's only if both niches meet the criteria that we're looking for in Market Samurai. Yeah.
Okay, Michelle, thanks a lot.
No problem.
Michelle.
Yes, ma'am.
This is Rochelle, and I have two questions, if that's all right.
Okay.
The first one is, and this is just a temporary concern because once the modules start coming, this won't be an issue, but for right now, when we're still waiting for modules to become available to us, are there any concerns about getting the domain name, setting up the blog, and then doing nothing with it for a couple of weeks?
No, it's quite common that people do that. You know, they buy a domain name, they install something, and then they kind of sit on it. So it's not weird for Google to see that at all. No.
Okay. And my second question has to do with those of us who have sites that are not blogs, that are just too massive to turn into a blog. Would you recommend putting a blog on the back end, which I do know how to do, pretty much ignoring the main site and focusing on keyword and whatnot to the blog and bringing traffic in through the blog, but making sure there is a link to the main site?
Two things. It depends on if the main site's getting traffic that you want to keep.
Okay.
If it's not, then I might just delete it and put a blog on the main domain.
I put a lot of effort into one of the ones that you had helped me with, the little toy one, and that's gotten the Google slap. It's not de-indexed, but they're not liking it anymore, and I don't want to abandon it.
Those were banned sites, right?
Yes.
Okay. I know you put a lot of effort into it. Gosh. I would, in that case, I would build a blog on the back end and then using that blog to link to pages in the site itself as well.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yes, I see you.
So you're generating traffic, to the blog, and then the blog can also generate traffic and build some link value for the main site itself too.
Crosslinker would do that easy.
Yes.
But we don't have.
And that's exactly what we'll be doing with it. So you know what's up.
Yes. Thank you. Excellent.
Anyone else? All right. Q&A is over. Going once? Going twice? Going 3 times? Thank you guys so much for coming to the Crowd Mountain Module 1 Bootcamp Q&A session. I appreciate it, and I'll see you on the site.
Thank you, Michelle.
Thanks, Michelle.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Girl, you okay? Good girl.